Hey, so this is a quick overview of what CCV has been working on over the past couple of years, which is the Library Instruction Tools or Library Instruction Tutorials program. This would replace our LIM program, which was Library in Moodle. And this is a program we started when we knew that Canvas was coming down the pipeline, and we're not quite at the point where we have it finished. So I thought that I would create a video to sort of document where we are and what we've done, specifically focusing on some library exploration activities that are a project that I've been working on for the past year. So the way that CCV deploys content in Canvas is through LibGuides and then through our sandbox. So what I have open here is just the library sandbox, and what I'm going to be showing you is the library exploration activities. Now, just to step back a second, these were developed along the CCV Gen Eds and with the ACRL framework so that we could scaffold in information literacy and library concepts throughout these core classes. And it was thought that we should target specific classes because we were seeing overlap. If we created a learning object for one English comp class, we would see it used in seminar and educational inquiry or interactive research methods, and we didn't want students seeing the same learning object over and over and over again. So to avoid that kind of duplication, we tried to target this. This is just based on our own anecdotal research. So I wanted to show you one of these activities. They're all 10 questions with the exception of the first one, the first few that are just 5 questions. And they're designed to be low stakes. One of the things that the research tells us is that we don't want to exacerbate library anxiety. So these tutorials and quizzes, they're technically quizzes, but they're really guided tutorials, are built so that they're teaching objects, which means that the answer is embedded within the quiz itself. It's not meant to trip up students, or students shouldn't have to really struggle to find the answer. It really, to get through it, they'll have to interact with it enough to learn something. So I'll run through this relatively quickly. This one, the way I designed these was to engage students with a peer-to-peer model of teaching. CCV has a series of peer tutors, and we do peer mentoring. And so part of our service model is that we value having students teach other students. And so what I did for this was create fictional CCV students based on the fact that these are profiles that are really common for students, and we wanted to make these engaging by developing a student profile. Like, this could be a student at CCV, and to try to engage the people who are taking this this tutorial, because it makes it a little bit more interesting, and the idea that you need to help this person answer these questions. And again, that's based on a lot of the research about learning objects and engagement. So I'll click through this relatively quickly, just through a few questions. We have our learning objectives here, and as you click through it, you'll see that the graphic continues. There's a little bit about Rachel, and all of these learning objects are incorporating some element of a racial justice topic or a topic about equity. So right away, this isn't just a how do you use the library. It's really that this student has a need to do something specific. She has to write a paper, and she's doing it on this topic. And so right away, it's relevant. Even if the student is taking this and they're not researching that topic, they can attach this learning to a specific topic, and it becomes a little bit more engaging. So the first question is about paywalls, and there is a bit of an interaction element here. This is a link out so that you have to sort of interact with this and then answer the question. There's a little bit of, a screenshot with a little bit of library instruction in there as well, so that students can kind of get a sense of where to go. And of course, when you click on the next, you'll see that it will give you the answer right away. So students can technically go back and select the right answer. And in doing so, that's fine. They're gonna have to do that, and that will teach them what the right answer is. And so even just going back and forth, if they're trying to, if they're trying to do it that way, then that's fine. That's part of the learning design. And then we sort of go through the rest of these questions. And so this is built so that students can interact with this. It's intentionally low stakes. And one of the reasons we built them this way was we wanted this to be scaffolded, and we wanted it to be something that instructors could put into any class, and it could be relevant, but also flexible. On the back end, one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that these are durable as well, knowing that links will be changing, knowing that we're going to be redoing the library system entirely. We wanted to make sure that if faculty adopt these now, that they're not going to break or change. Of course, they will a little bit, but the idea in implementing these means that we can have minimal disruption. So on the back end, if we go into this quiz, you'll see that this is not a Canvas native quiz. And in fact, if I go into one of the questions, if I go to edit it, you'll see that there's not actually anything to edit. This is all coming in. I'll show you the code here. This is all coming in from a libguide. I've pulled this in through using the LTI tool, and I've pulled this in from a libguide. So in addition to having our library instruction tools Canvas sandbox, we also have a library instruction tools libguide. And this is the sort of packaging area, the housing area for all of these activities, as well as other content that we deploy to Commons. And the reason we do it this way is that if it's out in the wild living in Commons in a class and something changes, we can make a change on the guide and it's automatically updated and the faculty member doesn't have to do anything. So when I built these are all built out in a libguide step by step, and then I've gone into a Canvas quiz and pulled in each of these boxes that way. So that's how that works, and it means, and even though they're very CCV specific, they're flexible enough so that if we wanted to turn these into VSC or VSU learning objects, it would be very, very simple, switching out a few links, changing a couple of, control find CCV to VSU, VSC, whatever, VSCU, and we can make them as broadly appealing as possible, and they don't have to be, as much as they need to be scaffolded, we don't have to attach them to a specific course. We can call them like levels 1 through 5. The main point being that we don't want students getting them over and over again. You'll see that in some of the questions, there are pop-out videos. So when the students get to a certain point, let me just go back to one of the actual questions here in Canvas if the student's taking this. These are videos that are being pulled in from our content management system in SpringShare as well. So a lot of times in the answer, there is a learning object like a video or some screenshots that will give students a little bit more information about that specific topic. So for example, this one is about what type of source would you need for this information need, and the answer is books. And then the video is all about what type of sources do I need for this, and do I have the right kinds of sources. So the videos aren't required for these, they're extra, and because this is a pilot, we are trying to determine how heavy-handed to be about forcing students to watch the videos, and we're also trying to make our videos shorter and more interactive as well. So the way that faculty find these is to go to Commons. So I'm going into Canvas and clicking on Commons, and then they would go in and find them in the CCV Hardness area here. And they would go and import them into their classes right here, where you click on import, download, and they would import it into whatever class they wanted to import it into. And it would appear in their list of quizzes, so then they would have to go to quizzes and look at it, or they'd have to go and add it to a module themselves. And of course, we can help with that process as well. We also have information on the Hartness website under Faculty and Staff, Services for CCV Faculty, Canvas integration, adding library, and research instruction. Only 4 clicks to get to that. And we have some step-by-step instructions to open Canvas, and then you can click on one of these activities, and it just brings you to the page in Commons where these exist. We also have links to several other learning objects on this page as well, and a video about customizing learning objects that I can build for people. So, but the main takeaway for this particular set of learning objects, I'm just going to go back and show you the list that we have here. The main point of this is really that we can share these among all of the institutions, and ideally we would have one set of them that could be used for some foundational library instruction. And as I said, we have scavenger hunt, which is level 1, computer applications, dimensions, English comp, intro to research methods, and then there's a capstone course, which is SCI, which has not been built at this point. But the idea really is that these are all scaffolded along the framework. Each question has an associated threshold concept and is associated with an information literacy frame. And so each one of these has been designed at the core to be really flexible and can be taken apart and put back together in whatever way we need it to be. Again, ideally having like one set of these, not having like 8 different sets of them, but that they can be used to kind of help with the basic information literacy skills so that we don't have to do as many synchronous sessions, that we can push these for specific classes. Ideally, to have something like this scaffolded across the gen eds at a really consistent rate. So currently we have the dimensions object is in, I believe, 14 dimensions classes at CCV. The computer apps is in 4 classes, and the intro to research methods is in 2 classes. And so that's our pilot program for this fall, and I'll be getting feedback about how it went. And so hopefully this is a model that we've been using for a couple of years. We've been developing, and that we can continue to develop so that we can have the maximum effect, the maximum reach, and the best connection with the gen eds as possible.